Yeah, that's not what Blake Lively wants, for sure. She wants it to be all about what she is wearing. Hi, and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Kjersti Flaa, and here on my channel, I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood and working as an entertainment reporter. And as you know, a lot about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and the legal drama and everyone that's involved. First of all, thank you guys so much for sending me all your tips again. It's really amazing. You guys are so engaged and it's really helping me out. I could never create all of these episodes if it wasn't for you guys. So again, thank you so much. I just wanted to comment on something quickly because I do receive a lot of tips from these faceless channels that are reporting a lot about Blake Lively having falling out with a lot of big stars in Hollywood. Everyone from Emma Stone, Kate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, Angelina Jolie. The list goes on and on and on. And a lot of these channels, you have to be aware that they have disclaimers in the description that their information is based on rumors. And yeah, a lot of it is not true. If you see a disclaimer in a description of a video, just check for that first before you actually believe anything they're saying, because people are looking for clicks. And the more outrageous stories they can come up with, the more clicks they'll get. But that being said, I do appreciate you sending me stuff. So please keep doing that. Just be aware that there's a lot of dishonest reporting out there. Anyways, today's the Met Gala, and Blake Lively is apparently not going to be there. She already said, or someone close to her said, that she's not attending this year. I don't know why she's not going, because I feel like that would totally fit her whole PR strategy right now, running around town and just posing for paparazzis in different outfits. I mean, most of the things that she shows up at, she comes in with one outfit and then she leaves in another. So it's all about her appearance and what she looks like and who she's wearing and what she's wearing. There are stories on after stories in all these fashion magazine about what Blake Lively is wearing today. Anyways, Glenda, thank you again for sending me so much good stuff. Sent me this article that really put things in perspective, I think, especially considering how Blake Lively has been acting lately, and especially how she was acting when she went on Seth Meyers that I talked about yesterday, and how it was all about her outfits. And she arrived in this white big gown, and it was too big to even fit the chair that he had set up for her. And it was like, oh my God, my princess dress is so big.
Hi! You know, there are certain guests where I'm like, I really should just go back to a suit for tonight. This is a fantastic
you did wear
outfit.
Your wedding gown?
It's amazing. It's a lot of dress.
It's big though. I'm like, where do I put it
Yeah.
all?
We'll bring a supersized chair for your next large dress.
Anyways, talking about princesses, this article is about the Princess of Wales and how she or her team around her at Kensington Palace announced that they won't be talking about what she's wearing and the details of what she's wearing when she's going to these public appearances that she has. They were saying that there is an absolute feeling that the public work that she's doing, that Princess of Wales is doing, is not about what the princess is wearing, a spokesman told the Times. She wants the focus to be on the really important issues, the people and the causes she is spotlighting. Yeah, that's not what Blake Lively wants, for sure. She wants it to be all about what she is wearing. And I think especially when you consider this and how she was acting on Seth Meyers, talking for all victims. And, you know, she was the voice of women and girls around the world who didn't have a voice and that had been silenced. But she's there in her princess dress speaking for all of them. I think if she was really serious about these issues, she would have made it more about these issues than actually all of her outfits. And if you've watched Another Simple Favor, that's all that movie is about as well. It's what Blake Lively is wearing, what her character Emily is wearing. Every scene is like a fashion shoot, and there is a lot of mismatching outfits there. And that's why people have been like, was Blake Lively responsible for the wardrobe in Another Simple Favor as well? I'm sure she was. Why wouldn't she be? Talking about that, There is a story in The Independent which really caught my eye because I was like, wow, someone's really being honest for once in traditional media. As we know, it's really just Daily Mail and Page Six who are reporting on this from kind of an objective perspective and actually reporting on the backlash that's happening. All the other outlets are like, oh my God, look what she's wearing today. She looks beautiful, and Ryan and her are so in love, and blah blah blah. And she's the voice of her, yeah, whatever. So this guy is writing an opinion basically about Another Simple Favor and all the backlash that Blake Lively's been receiving when she's promoting the movie. And he's asking, how would it be from here on? Is she going to receive the same amount of backlash with every movie that comes out with her in it? And then he he points out that she does not have any movies coming up. And if you ask me, if I was a director, I would never hire someone like Blake Lively in my movie after what she did to the previous director, especially if there's any intimate scenes in that movie. Luckily for Blake, most of the intimate scenes, I think the only really intimate scene she had in Another Simple Favor was when she was kissing herself. So I guess they didn't need an intimacy coordinator there, but it's kind of like ironic. I don't know. Sorry if that was a spoiler, but yeah, there is a scene with Blake Lively kissing herself, like her twin or triplet or whatever. I'm just assuming that people that are watching my channel are not that excited to watch Another Simple Favor. As I talked about yesterday, I hated the movie. I thought it was terrible. But back to this guy who wrote this article, he was comparing Blake Lively, what happened to her, with kind of what happened with Kim Basinger back in the 90s when she was sued and she lost this lawsuit. She was sued for withdrawing from a movie that she already signed up to do. It was called Boxing Helena. I watched that movie. I remember it still. It was so traumatizing. That movie is really, really creepy. But anyways, she was sued because she backed down from the contract. She had to pay this guy $8 million. But anyways, her and her relationship with Alec Baldwin was very public, and she was known to be a diva. She was always late on set, and there were all these things going on. But the thing is, all of these things calmed down because we didn't have social media back then. As he points out, 3 years later, she was nominated for an Oscar for a movie because she had kind of just disappeared, and that's something that Blake Lively obviously is not doing. And he's also questioning if she really wants to act. But what I thought was most interesting was how he ended this opinion. He said that it wouldn't be too surprising if Lively got the authorship she's been looking for at the set of Another Simple Favor. Feig has long had productive relationships with his female actors, among them Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig. As we know, they were in Bridesmaids and in Ghostbusters. And I think McCarthy was also in Heat that he directed. Anyways, and he's spoken highly of Lively. As we know, I spoke about that yesterday, that he thinks the outrage is boring. And then he says that, and Emily, which is Blake Lively's character in the movie, undeniably feels like her creation, like Blake's creation. A big-haired, outrageously outfitted glamazon who sparks as much wonder as she does envy and aggravation. For better and worse, it is the ultimate Blake Lively role. It's her last for a while. Even better, he says. I like this guy. Finally, someone's being honest. I don't think anyone wants to see Blake Lively in a movie anytime soon. Blake Lively, on the other hand, has posted on her Instagram story that the movie's gotten glowing reviews. Daily Mail did a story on it to kind of poking fun of it. I think she found the only 4 good reviews on the movie. And I have to read this because it's so bad. It says, holy F, take the first film and some morphine crack and opioids to it, and you've got this masterpiece of a film. Gagged about 17 times and had to sit in silence once I finished it. Paul Feig, you've mastered it. Also, Anna and Blake performances were unreal. I don't think Yasmin01 has seen many movies if she thinks this is masterpiece. And she gagged 17 times. When was that? Because I didn't laugh one time during Another Simple Favor. It was so bad that we need another word for bad. Also, Blake pointed out Maxi066 review, who says that the way this movie AT, the dialogue, I don't know what AT means, but maybe it's a slang for something. I just wish to be as witty and interesting as Emily. Honestly. Okay. Yeah, I think that's more or less the only good review Blake could find. So another interesting story that Glenda sent me, thank you, Glenda, again, for sending me all this good stuff. She found this interview with Taylor Swift in Elle magazine. It was done a while ago, and it was titled 30 Things I Learned Before Turning 30. And number 13 of those points that Taylor Swift said was that it's my opinion that in cases of SA, I believe the victim. Coming forward is an agonizing thing to go through. I know because my SA trial was a demoralizing, awful experience. I believe victims because I know firsthand about the shame and stigma that comes with raising your hand and saying, this happened to me. It's something no one would choose for themselves. We speak up because we have to, and out of fear that it could happen to someone else if we don't. So, with this in mind, thinking that Taylor Swift has not come out and supported Blake Lively once publicly, I think it says it all. Also, there's a report on the relationship between Amy Lou Wood and Walton Goggins. I talked about this yesterday, how he stormed out. I didn't storm out of an interview, but the interview was cut short because the reporter kept asking about why he and Amy unfollowed each other on Instagram, and he did not want to talk about it. And the interview was cut short, and the reporter wrote about it, and it was picked up everywhere, and that became the story. And I said, don't do that. When you cut off a reporter like that, that becomes the story. These celebrities should learn. But anyways, today it says in the Daily Mail that they are following each other again. So now that's the story. It's so funny to me, and I feel like he's a man in his 50s at least. Why is he acting so immature? It also says here that Walton may have blocked Amy because her comments and likes on his post had disappeared. So when you block someone, that's like a big statement. Like unfollowing, that's kind of passive aggressive, but if you block someone, you don't want them to see what you're up to. Which again, confirms what I was talking about yesterday. I think there is something going on between them. I just think this kind of behavior is a little weird unless something serious happened there. Because if he was a director and she was an actress, I kind of would get it that there was a power dynamic there that, that they could have, creative differences, but they're both acting in the movie on the same level. So yeah. So what really happened? I guess might never find out. Also, as I said, the Met Gala is tonight, and so many people are excited to show up and show off. Someone that's not going to show up is Naomi Campbell. I was just laughing a little bit when I read this story because I thought it was quite funny that she has really upset Anna Wintour, who we know is the person who kind of sends out the invitation. And Naomi Campbell, as we know, has been kind of a diva. There was a story with her hitting her assistant with her phone, throwing it at her. There's been other stories about her too. And apparently she is a person that always shows up late, and that really annoyed Anna Wintour, who was giving her an Icon Award in September, and she was presenting it to her, and Naomi didn't show up in time. So Anna Wintour got so annoyed that she left the event, and someone else had to give Naomi Campbell the award. So Anna said, I'm a very punctual person, and I have the honor of presenting tonight to someone who is often late. And then apparently Naomi Campbell had to receive the award from Harper's Bazaar editor-in-chief instead. And when Naomi received the reward, she said, it wasn't my choice to have the other lady. I'd much rather have this one, meaning that it wasn't her choice to have Anna Wintour give it to her. So yeah, so now she's not invited, but then Naomi says that that's okay. She says that in 2024, it was my last gala. I'm too old. It's too much for me, the anxiety, she said. So I guess she doesn't want to really admit that she is not invited. And the fact is, she's been on the cover of Vogue 66 times. So they have a long history together. Someone else who's not showing up is Gwyneth Paltrow because she didn't like it when she was there in 2017. She said that it was so unfun, boiling and too crowded. I did not enjoy it at all. And I can see that. You're walking into that crowd in the back, and there's just like, I don't think they even sit down. There's no dinner because no one can sit in those outfits they're wearing. So you're just walking around staring at each other. I don't know. It's very strict. I think you can't film. There was someone who leaked a film from the inside that was shooting something from their bag or something, and it was a big deal a few years ago. So it's all about just walking up those steps on the red carpet and showing what you're wearing. Someone else who's not going is Zayn Malik from One Direction. He said that I'd rather be sitting at my house doing something productive than dressing up in really expensive clothes and being photographed on a red carpet. I get it, especially if you've been on a red carpet so many times. What's the fun of it? I don't, yeah. So respect to him for being honest. Also, I have some good news, which I think are good news anyways. There is going to be a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Brad Pitt's going to be in it. He is back as Cliff Booth, and it's not Quentin Tarantino directing it, but I think he wrote it. But David Fincher is directing it for Netflix, not Sony as last time. So this could be interesting. I really liked the first movie. It was a little too long, but I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy especially watching Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together in a movie. I don't think Leo is going to be back for this, but Brad is.
It's official, old buddy. Well, has been.
So yeah, I'm a bit excited about that. I remember actually meeting both Leo and Brad for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that was one of those moments. I've talked about it before that I don't really get starstruck anymore, but that was a moment when I was like, wow, this is kind of huge, sitting in front of those two big stars. It was like a round table. We were 7 journalists, I think, and they arrived together and sat down for I think we were interviewing them for 25 minutes or something, but it was just like, wow, I'm not going to experience this again in my life, sitting next to both of them. Yeah, I think they're the last generation of movie stars. We don't have many new movie stars coming up. I think it's a dying breed. There's one flash in the pan here and there, but no one that really sticks. You have Timothée Chalamet maybe, but there's not many others coming out. When I grew up, we had so many stars in the 90s and 2000s. It was a lot of them. And I mean, some of them were coming and going, but I think most of the movie stars we have today are in their 50s. Anyways, you guys, that's it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please subscribe if you haven't. It really helps my channel. And if you don't want to miss an episode, please hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.